So the big question is this: how do you lose all the weight that you want and actually keep it off for the rest of your life, while trying to make sense of all the noise that comes from the weight loss industry? That is the question. And this podcast will give you the answers.
G'day guys, and welcome to the next episode of the Weight Loss Secrets podcast. My name is Baron Grant and I'm wrapped to be with you for another day, another tip, another idea, something, anything that's going to help you to be able to lose all the weight that you want and keep it off for the rest of your life. And as always, my podcasts are brought to you by Ditching the Diet, where you can get all the info that you need to be able to lose all that weight and keep it off. So just head to ditchingthediet.com. You can download a copy of my book. You can book a call with me. You can get on one of my programs. I can help you on your journey to long-lasting health and happiness. Because I think when we lose the weight, we feel in a better space, more confident, we do feel a lot happier with where we're at. So jump on, have a look. Now today I want to talk about, I guess every topic in weight loss is controversial, but because everyone has differing opinions. But I want to talk cheat days. So now some people will tell you that cheat days are essential, and some people will tell you that cheat days are not essential. What I'm going to say is cheat days are no good now, but they are good later. Now, let me explain my concept of that. But before I do, when you look at cheat days, everybody talks about, well, not everybody, lots of people talk about you need a cheat day to shock your body. I want to dispel that myth right at the start. You never need to shock your body because there's no such thing as weight loss plateaus. And that might be controversial in itself. That could be a whole nother podcast. But there's no weight loss plateaus because if you continue to do the right things, you will lose weight all the time. You'll get plateaus when you're working with someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. That might sound a little bit harsh, but when you don't eat the right foods, or if you're eating too much of even the right foods, good foods, then you're going to end up in a situation where your weight stalls. There is no weight loss plateau, so you don't need to shock your body if you're doing it the right way. You've just got to be consistent. So remember, I've mentioned it on lots of videos, but you've got to eat below your basal metabolic rate to ensure that your body uses your fat stores as an energy source. Because remember, your fat stores are just this excess energy that we've got kicking around our bodies. So how do we get our body to access that excess energy? Well, we've got to get below our basal metabolic rate. And at that point, our body has to search for excess energy. And so that's how we lose weight. So with that said, why would we need to shock our body if we're consistently doing that? We don't need to shock our body at any point. There's no shocking required. So when we look at cheat days, I want to first off say why I think now, when I say no now and yes later, the reason I want to say that. So let me explain. So it's a no now because if you're on a weight loss journey, and I assume you are if you're listening to this or you're thinking about starting on a weight loss journey, cheat days just get in the way. So much of weight loss is all about what happens in our heads, right? If you have a cheat day, you can blow out your calorie intake so much. And remember, you don't need to count calories if you do it the right way, but calories in, calories out is a real thing. But if you eat the right foods, you'll get there. I digress. But when we look at the reason it's no good right now is because you blow your calories out, right? Like if you have a big blowout and you go and eat a block of chocolate or you go and eat whatever you want for a whole day, that it becomes a situation where the work you've done on the whole week is completely undone on the weekend. And so when I mentioned psychologically, it wrecks your brain psychologically because you're like, oh, this is not working. That's not true. You just made some bad choices and therefore the weight that you lost, you've just put back on. Because remember, you could, if you have a blowout on a cheat day, where you're eating whatever you want, you could eat 4,000 or 5,000 calories really quickly, really easily by eating really bad food. So the work that you do in a whole week to really trim that down is undone so quickly. And particularly if you don't have a large amount of weight to lose because you've got a small runway. So if you're, you might be at 69 kilos or 70 kilos and you've only want to lose 8 or 10 kilos, well, your BMR is not very high. So therefore you've got to eat pretty clean to be able to get that weight down. You go and blow it on the weekend, it's all over. So cheat days are not great on your weight loss journey. You've got to be 7 days on the right program, the right structure, the right food to get your calories low enough to make any meaningful difference. And remember, weight loss has to be pretty fast, because if you're losing weight too slowly, you quit. So you've got to do the right things to keep it ticking along. So a blowout on the weekend stuffs that all up. And so some people subscribe to the theory of a cheat meal. Well, my experience with that, when people are on a weight loss journey for that period of time to get to where they want to be, maybe you've got 20 kilos to lose. If you have a cheat meal turns into a cheat day, turns into a cheat weekend, turns into a cheat week, turns into a cheat month, right? And that's the challenge with cheating on your journey on the way there. So I'm a believer that right now, if you're on a weight loss journey, you're about to start a weight loss journey, don't set yourself up for slow loss. If you set yourself up for slow loss, you'll quit, because we don't have the patience to sit on a process and be not losing weight day after day, week after week. If you get on the scales and you've lost 200 grams for 3 weeks in a row, you will quit, because that is not inspiring at all. If you're not losing a kilo plus consistently, now you might lose 500 grams one week and 1.2 kilos the next, but that sort of average of getting up around a kilo or more per week, you're going to quit because it's not inspiring. So cheat days end up consuming too many calories, and when we do that, we end up consuming too many carbs and sugar generally as well, because that's the go-to cheat food, right? If it's a cheat food, you want to eat pizza, you want to eat chips, you want to eat pies, you want to eat whatever else. And when we do that stuff consistently, once a week, you blow out all the work that you've done in the week. So that's not such a good approach, right? So not for now. No cheat days for now. But I'm a big believer that you've got to have cheat days. You can call it cheat days. You can call it just balanced eating. You can call it whatever you want. But I'm a big believer that once you get to your goal weight, you can eat really clean for 5 days a week, and then 2 days a week you can eat. When I say whatever you want, you still have to be, thoughtful and mindful about the food that you're eating. But you can eat, you can have a pizza or half a pizza or whatever it is if you've eaten really good during the week. But that's because you've got to a point, you've already done the weight loss, and you've got to a point where you can live between a weight range. And so it might be that you're living between 64 and 66. And if you eat really good during the week, you can balance it out with some different meals over the weekend, because you can increase your calories. That's going to make your calories down low during the week, and they're going to lift on the weekend, and you end up, net gain loss. You might put on a kilo and then lose it again over the course of the week and the weekend. So that's how you can sort of balance it out. And I know lots of people that I've worked with have gone down that path where they go 5 and 2, 5 and 2. But you can't do 5 and 2 until you've done 7. You're going to go 7 days, 7 days, 7 days, 7 days, 7 days until you get to where you want to be. Then you can balance it out. 5 and 2, 5 and 2, 5 and 2. That's okay. So cheat days, unnecessary on the journey. Because remember, you're changing habits long term. And if you really don't get away from this stuff of the high carb, high sugar type arrangement, if you don't get away from it long enough, you won't change your palate enough to stop wanting it. Because that's really the crux of keeping the weight off. You have to stop wanting the food that is really high in sugar and really high in carbohydrates, and even some of the food that's really high in fat. We've got to sort of avoid that stuff that's just really high calorie and not super healthy for us. We've got to make sure we make good choices. We can only do that when we start craving the right choices, but that happens over time, and you'll change your palate over time. So the thought that I want you to go away with today is, where am I on my weight loss journey? Am I just starting? Then if you're just starting, I would recommend no cheat days. You've had your cheat days to get to this point. If you've got 20 kilos to lose, you've had plenty of cheat days. Just remember those cheat days and move forward without them for a while. But if you are at the end of your weight loss journey, maybe you've lost 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 kilos, I don't know, and you're at a healthy place now and you feel like you want to stay there, and you feel like you want to balance it though, and not just be eating, not eating some things that you want to eat, so things like a pizza or chips or whatever, then you can balance it. You absolutely can balance it, and you can have a cheat day, a cheat meal, and you can look at that if you can stay within a window. And it's got to be a bit self-regulating. There's no miracle plan, there's no miracle fix or anything like that to keep the weight off. It's got to be self-regulating. So you've got to just weigh yourself once a week and go, right, Monday morning, I jump on the scales, and am I outside my bracket? Am I outside my bracket of 2 kilos? Well, I better get those low calorie meals back in and get back down under. You have to manage your weight. And so just checking in, if you feel like it's a problem for you, then check it once a week. That's the most. Don't weigh every day. So no cheat days now. If you want to get there, you got to get there. You got to get there fast, because if you don't get there fast, you won't ever get there because you'll quit. But afterwards, of course, you can have cheat days. You can have cheat meals scattered throughout the week instead of 2 full cheat days. But you got to self-regulate that based upon your weight on the scales. Don't let yourself blow out anymore. Once you get the weight off, check once a week and regulate as you go. So no cheat days now, but cheat days come later. Do the work now and get there later. And then you can make the change. Can't wait to chat with you tomorrow.